Hi guys, Ashantin here. Welcome to the Royal Oak. I thought that it would be lovely to call my pub or inn or tavern, whatever you want to call it, after a tree, because obviously we are on the tree server here and it is close to our 1 year anniversary. I also thought it would be very nice to name it after an oak tree. Now, first of all, the Royal Oak is a very, very common inn name in the UK. And one of the reasons is that for the war that started in medieval times, and remember this is a medieval build, we always would have used oak to build our ships. I'm looking for a patch of land where I can show you why. Oak trees, good Lord, it's amazing how bad I can be at Minecraft when I'm recording. Oak trees are quite unusual trees in that if you can imagine the branch going out on the other side, they effectively are as wide as they are tall. And so therefore the first branches start at just above head height, or it's actually just above where a deer can reach, because they were mostly browsed by deer in those days, the herds of deer going through the forest. But you can imagine that we had forests full of trees. Let's just put another lot on this, that essentially grew overall in this shape. Now, when you're building a ship, what you really need are strong joints. And the oak trees were perfect because it's very, very hard wood. But if you can take this part of the tree and you can carve off the bark and the outer skin, which would make planks, you would then get a superb joint. And the joints are, of course, if you put two of them on either side, what you have is the support for the decks of your ships, and you put those huge joints at regular intervals along a ship, and you will see, many of the medieval warships were built exactly like that, with oak joints that weren't crafted joints. They were actually integral. That was the way oak trees grew. And because the war that started in medieval times lasted 100 years, it was amazing because our forests were practically depopulated. So the front of I think I'm going to call it a tavern, which is more medieval, is complete, which I rather like. I'm going to show you the side view from out here, which is very, very typical of English taverns. This is a bit of a floating deck at the moment, and the reason for that is that I haven't quite decided whether this should be a deck or not. This is, as I know, pubs and taverns at the moment, where you sit here, watch the setting sun, have a few drinks. Let's close that just in case any zombies come. They don't come in England, of course. And then you would have decks like this where you've got places where people can sit, have a drink, eat, look out over the lighthouse, and generally enjoy the evening as they can sit outside in the summer. Inside, of course, as you know, we have a roaring log fire, and these levers represent the pulling handles for the beer, and you would pull a pint. We drink pints of beer by pulling the lever towards you, and then in the background we have the brewing stands. Now I understand, ooh, oh dog, thank you very much. Dog has left me a present. He's left me some eyes of Ender, which will enable me to do all sorts of things. Fantastic. Thank you, dog. there is a shelf over here with, I don't know if you can see it from there, with mugs on. And you would have found in an English pub, and you can still see them, you would normally have a line of hooks along a shelf over the bar. And many people would have their own pewter tankard, and many people still do when they're regulars in a pub. So you have your own tankard, and certainly in these medieval days they would have done. Behind the bar we have the more expensive drinks, the bottles and things like that. I have just put a little bit more brick in here, and of course we have more tankards above there ready for use. And then in here we just have a couple of sleeping pallets for those who are too drunk to go home in their boats or otherwise on their horses. So there's a couple of sleeping pallets with a chest each to lock away their valuables overnight. I want to go outside and have a look at this tavern at night. Does that look welcoming? Yes, it does. This is how a tavern should look at night. Warm and welcoming. I'm thinking about whether to keep the deck. I think I probably will, because even though it's more modern than medieval, I still think it looks good. Let's go and have a look how this one looks. I've left my lily pads here. Yeah, that looks fine at night, I think. That looks as it should look, don't you think, guys? A really welcoming pub and tavern. Don't say that I don't know my pubs and my taverns. This is the sort of place, actually not with flagstone floors as they would have had in medieval days, but normally with wooden floors and perhaps upholstered seats. This is the sort of place, sitting on decks like this when it's sunny, or sitting inside in front of a log fire in winter. This is the sort of place I spend my lunch times in these days. And I'm in a very tidal area, so we watch to see whether the tide is in or out before we have lunch. So this is very much, this feels like home to me, this pub. I think I might call it a tavern, that's more medieval. And it is called, I mean, oak tree obviously because we're on a tree server. I've explained why an oak tree, because of our long, long history with our naval ships and the oak trees, and the fact that that is a very, very famous pub name in England. But the Royal Oak, because we call our pubs the Royal Oak. And also, this is the Jack Ash Ranch. And Jackson and I share a queen in common, because the Queen of England is also the Queen of Australia. So I think that that looks a really welcoming tavern. And any of you who come, as Dog has already found out, are very, very welcome to come in and to share. Oh, hello, Skelly. Let me just get, oh. Excuse me while I just kill this skeleton, if I can get round my thing to see him. Where are you? Here. Higher. Right, end of view. And so, you know, you're very welcome to come over, visit us at Jack Ash, and have a bed for the night in our lovely tavern. And it will protect you from skeletons. Bye, guys!